most welcome to Historiespanarna, History Reconnaissance, and Steel Decks and Burning Skies, inside Britain's Pacific War carriers. This is the story of 5 World War II Royal Navy fleet carriers in the Pacific, part of what has been called the Forgotten Fleet. These British carriers actually had a unique edge over the US carriers, and I'll return to that in a moment. Task Force 57 was the main strike force of the British Pacific Fleet during operations against Japan in 1945, particularly during the Battle of Okinawa. It consisted mainly of armored aircraft carriers and their escorts, and operated as part of the US Fifth Fleet. In July 1945 it was redesignated Task Force 37, taking part in an attack against the Japanese home islands. The main Royal Navy fleet carriers in action in the Pacific theater of war at that time were HMS Indomitable, Victorious and Illustrious. The latter was replaced by HMS Formidable and Indefatigable. Behind them was their fleet train, Task Force 112, the crucial support unit with various specialized ships such as oilers, repair ships, escort carriers, frigates and sloops. It enabled the British Pacific Fleet to operate for extended periods far from bases by providing fuel, provisions and repairs, allowing the Royal Navy to sustain combat operations far from established bases. Now let's compare. The British carrier had thick, armored steel flight decks, often 3 inches, 75 mm. The flight deck was part of the ship's structural strengths, essentially the roof of an armored box. The US carriers had wooden, unarmored flight decks. Flight decks were typically wood planks over a steel frame. The deck was not structural armor, it was more like a working surface. The British carriers' hangar side were also armored, creating a fully enclosed armored citadel. This made them very resistant to bombs and kamikaze attacks. Damage stayed localized. Fires were easier to contain, but the deck was harder to repair quickly if badly damaged, and fewer aircraft could be carried and operated. The US carriers were easier and faster to repair damage, but much more vulnerable to bombs and kamikaze hits. Hangars were larger, taller and open-sided, designed for maximum aircraft capacity and airflow. They carried far more aircraft and had faster aircraft handling and sortie generation, but fires and explosions could spread more easily. In July 1945, the British carriers typically operated a combination of Seafire, Hellcat and Corsair aircraft. The Supermarine Seafire intercepted incoming Japanese aircraft, especially kamikazes, and provided high-altitude, rapid-response defense. The Grumman Hellcat was the workhorse fighter and fighter-bomber. It escorted strike aircraft, attacked Japanese airfields and installations, and intercepted enemy aircraft at medium range. The Ward Corsair was the long-range strike fighter, bombing and rocket attacks on airfields, escorting strike packages over long distances, and conducting strafing and anti-shipping attacks. The Corsair became the main offensive punch of the British carrier air groups. So, how did these aircraft work together? A typical British Pacific Fleet operation might look like this. Seafires stayed near the fleet and intercepted incoming threats quickly. Hellcats provided outer combat air patrol, escort, and secondary strike duties. Corsairs flew long-range strikes against Japanese airfields. The key operational rhythm. A British carrier deck in 1945 was basically running a loop. Launch combat air patrol, Seafires and Hellcats. Launch strike, Corsairs and Hellcats. Recover aircraft. Refuel, rearm, repeat. All while maintaining continuous air defense. During operations in the Pacific, Task Force 57 in the Battle of Okinawa. Victorious, carried a mixed air group, roughly like this. 24 Vought F4U Corsair, 18 Grumman F6F Hellcat, 12 Supermarine Seafire. Total 50 to 55 aircraft, smaller than US carriers, which often had 80 to 100 plus. What happened during kamikaze alert? Let's say radar detects incoming attackers. Immediate response: scramble Seafires, fast climb. Hellcats intercept further out. Hellcats engage first, long range. Seafires catch anything that gets through. Ship air guns as the last line. This layered system was critical during Okinawa. At the Battle of Okinawa, 1945, the Royal Navy deployed 4 fleet carriers, each with around 2,000 personnel, ship and air group combined. Across these carriers, 200 to 250 aircraft were deployed. The carriers didn't operate alone. At Okinawa, Task Force 57 also included 2 battleships, 4 cruisers, 10 to 12 destroyers, and the large fleet train, tankers, supply ships, repair ships. Total British personnel in the Okinawa campaign: 30 to 40,000 in the immediate task force, much larger if you include rear area logistics. The overall British Pacific Fleet casualties 1945: approximately 700 to 800 killed, 1,500 to 2,000 wounded. These figures cover carrier operations, Okinawa Sakishima strikes, fleet train and escorts, late war strikes on Japan.
That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.